Senators are pleased to sponsor the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2022 Best of Ottawa Business Awards. This is one of the marquee events in the Ottawa-Gatineau community calendar, and it is great to see so many of our friends and clients and fans here tonight in attendance. We have had the pleasure of working with Pat Butler for over 30 years, and he and his team are valued members of the Ottawa Senators family. I especially enjoyed having the opportunity to meet the newest and cutest member, Harry, of the team. Pat, you have been a pillar in the Ottawa business community for decades, an innovative leader, and you have enriched the lives of so many in this community. On behalf of the Ottawa Senators Sports and Entertainment, thank you for everything you have done throughout the National Capital Region, and we look forward to celebrating you in an upcoming Sens home game soon. Go Sens, go!
Who knew that a young boy from a large PEI family, the son of a fisherman, would become the business icon we see today? But early on in life, the signs were there that Pat Butler was a hustler. He was 10 years old, going door to door in his village, selling fish. By 18, he was on his way to Toronto, with very little money in his pocket but a strong belief in himself. He soon landed his first job in the car business, a car lot attendant. Before long, he was selling cars and eventually managing dealerships.
As low as $49.
Early in his journey in the car business, Pat met the love of his life, Elaine. They moved to Ottawa in 1964 and raised their 5 children together. Pat landed a job with Harry Dilawri at his Ford dealership in Stittsville, just beyond the fringe. He was in his early 30s when he managed to scrape enough money together to buy his first dealership, Mackenzie Mercury, in Ottawa's West End. The seeds of a dynasty were planted.
Probably the most competitive guy I've ever met in my life.
Les Bell was a young chartered accountant the very first time he was hired by Pat in the 1980s.
Pat was a very, very demanding guy.
2 strong-willed people butted heads often, and Les ended up quitting.
I always say it was probably, from a career perspective, the best decision I ever made, because as soon as I made that decision, Pat came across the room, put his arm around me and said, "You will be back in the car business within 2 years." It actually happened.
Les Bell is now the dealer at Lincoln Heights Ford Lincoln, where Pat started his automotive dynasty. Pat also hired and mentored chartered accountant Lynn Norton nearly 25 years ago.
With all my degrees and my business knowledge, I thought I was suited for industry. Then I met Pat, and Pat taught me a whole new degree. It's called the street degree. He's the smartest guy in the street of anyone I know.
Lynn helped Pat launch RV Canada in Ottawa in 2003.
Pat saw an industry that was ripe for revolution and consolidation. The industry is 20 years behind the car business.
The Butler Group now runs a string of 35 RV dealerships and 2 campgrounds nationwide. There are also Harley-Davidson dealerships, Power Sports Canada, and a string of car dealerships. Lynn Norton is now the dealer principal at Barhaven Ford.
Started in the middle of a cornfield. His daughter, Charlene, joined the company in 1999, and she was one of the very first female dealer principals in the city of Ottawa in the automotive industry.
Pat Butler also began Ottawa Auto Dealers Exchange more than 30 years ago, along with Jim Hallett, another one of his protégés.
I've always admired the way that Pat thinks about business and how he thinks about his family, his friends, his employees, and his community. And Pat has often said to me, "Jim, you can't get rich unless you enrich others."
As his empire has grown, he's looked for other ways to advantage the disadvantaged in our community.
Pat has always avoided the spotlight, and that includes his charity work.
We're extremely fortunate to have Pat here in Ottawa.
When former Ottawa Senators President Cyril Leader left the hockey team in 2017, one of the first people to reach out to him was Pat. Cyril soon landed as president of the Myers Group, a competitor.
He welcomed me as a competitor. He says, "Look, Ottawa's a big city. Said it's a great industry, and there's lots of room at the table."
Pat is now in his 80s. He and Elaine enjoyed 62 years of marriage until she passed on. He's watched his family grow with 12 grandchildren and 20 great-grandchildren now in the mix. Many his age are long retired. Pat keeps pushing.
Pat is pedal to the metal every day. We spend our days just trying to catch up to him. We've been adding about 5 acquisitions per year. Really, that man needs a new hobby.
That kid from PEI has done all right with his hustle and drive, with his dreams of what could be, and his ability to make those dreams come to life. Along the way, he's enriched so many lives.
I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for me and for the greater Ottawa community.
Congratulations, this is well deserved, and thank you for all you've done for the Ottawa business community and for the city as a whole.
Boss, a well-deserved lifetime achievement for all your hard work.
The world needs more leaders like Pat Butler, and I just wish you good luck and God bless you going forward.
Here is Lynn Norton, the COO of Pat Butler Group of Companies, and tonight's sponsor for Lifetime Achievement Award from the Ottawa Senators, Christine Clancy.
What a terrific evening. On behalf of Pat, I'd like to congratulate all the other award winners tonight. Thank you for everything you do as business and community leaders. Pat would like to thank the Ottawa Board of Trade, the Ottawa Business Journal, the selection committee from the past recipients of this award, and specifically Cyril Leader for his nomination. Pat would also like to thank the Ottawa Senators, who sponsor the Lifetime Achievement Award. He is humbled by the successful list of previous recipients. Thank you to Terry and Don Marcotte and our own Jeff Kyle for that wonderful video tribute. I know that this award means a great deal to Pat. He, his family, and his team are very proud to be here with all of you tonight. You will not find him on the regular cocktail circuit. Pat is a very private person, and most people do not know very much about him. Please bear with me as I summarize 50 years of business into the next 9 minutes, and I had the 9 minutes endorsed by Michael Curran before I got up here. Pat, the family man. I'd like to recognize Pat's family, who are all with him tonight, as he built his business and literally worked 7 days a week throughout his whole career. People would say, do you know why Pat Butler started Car Canada? Because he had nothing to do on Sundays. It took a strong woman to keep this large family of 5 kids, 12 grandchildren, 20 great-grandchildren together, who all live in the Ottawa area. All the kids and now the next generation have had various roles in the organization. Pat would like to say thank you, family, for all your support and being there for Elaine and himself. Pat the salesman. Pat is the eternal salesman, 24/7 for the past 67 years. He has told me personally many times that you are no accountant. You are a salesman just like me. Well, if you have all salespeople in your company, you're doomed to fail. Every good company needs a conscience. Our conscience is our CFO, John Perry. I've worked beside John for 32 years. I put him up against any I'll put him up against any CFO in this city. Sorry, Aaron, and congratulations. You know what I think of you. John makes sure to let Pat and I know before we empty the piggy bank, because if we could, we'd spend every dollar we make twice. Pat and I thank you, John, for all you do. The team builder and our leader. Pat, you're surrounded here tonight by many senior members of your current team who are here to share this night with you. This speaks volumes of your ability to recruit and keep good people. I'd like to acknowledge a few of them. These are all non-family members. Our CFO and partner, John, 18 years. Our partner, Guy, 23 years. Terry, 17 years. Jack, 18 years. Andy started at the age of 15, 18 years. Norman, 19 years. Tarek started at the age of 21, 19 years. Shannon, 20 years. Abdel, 20 years. Here's a good one. Mike started at the age of 16. He's been here 24 years. Jeff, 24 years. Clayton, 25 years. David M., 27 years. Jerry C., 30 years. Sean, 31 years. Tracy started at the age of 27, 32 years. Jerry D., all the way from Moncton tonight, started at the age of 19, 39 years. Cal, who is ill tonight, came direct from India in BMW, 42 years. And Pat, you brought this guy from the Maritimes at the age of 22. Vic, 45 years. And there are many more with significant tenure. Pat the motivator. Some of the regular daily diet of Pat's sayings to our team include: the speed of the ship is the speed of the captain. There's only one way to grow. You have to put your shoulder to the wheel. Remember, 100% of nothing is still nothing. I bet you can't get that done. Your first loss is your best loss. I am no lawyer, but one from the Maritimes. Are you going to fish or just cut bait? You don't work for me, you work with me. I know what I don't know. A little hard work won't hurt anyone. A good lawyer and a good accountant can screw up any deal. Everything starts at the front door with our customers and the first person to greet them. And two last ones. A challenge regarding our monthly financial results. He says, you know anybody can be number two. And the ultimate maritime challenge, anyone can get that done. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. The businessman. What has been Pat's secret to business success? Just a few highlights of the way he operates every day. He is a unique entrepreneur and an absolute deal junkie. He has a photographic memory like most car dealers of his generation. With no computers, he learned to read upside down from handwritten contracts with the customer right across the desk. So we keep our notes close to our chest. Pat is very well read on all industries that we do business in and thinks about new ways for the future. His vision is always years ahead of our team and his competitors. He gives his people a lot of rope to make decisions on their own, only asks that you don't make the same mistake twice. So he would say, give you just enough rope to hang yourself. He's not adverse to change because he speaks with his open mind. His budgets are always unobtainable. Shoot for the stars. Results will land somewhere in between. He likes the words we, our, and us, not the words I, me, and my. He has faith to remind him. He says, remember, the big guy with the whiskers is always watching. Mr. Butler is as tough as they come. Some days really tough. He challenges us to learn and be better, but he's fair. You have to know him to understand him, but most of all, he has the biggest heart of anyone I know. The man is all about dreaming big, working hard, controlling the risk with research, seeking others' opinions, and you are nowhere without the right people to help you. Pat has lived his whole business career and still does every day based on a famous quote from in 1973, from the New York Mets catcher Yogi Berra. Does anybody know that quote? It ain't over till it's over. I promise I'm getting close to the end. He loves to hold court and most comfortable in his own office. He loves visitors. He loves to socialize. He really enjoys hosting Friday lunches with our office team and our guests. He always has time for you, whether it's business or personal. He has helped so many people. The man that not very many know. A story from a few years ago. Elaine and Pat were having dinner on Preston Street. The restaurant has a bar as you walk in and an elevated dining room at the other end of the restaurant. During dinner, Pat left, went to the restroom. He didn't come back for 30 minutes, so Mrs. Butler decided to see if she could find him in the restaurant. When she found him, he was sitting with a young man in the bar area who was eating his dinner. Pat spoke to the boy, then sat down beside him. He learned the boy's family would not be able to pay for his last 2 years at Carleton University after his summer job earnings. 30 minutes of getting to know this young man, Pat felt the boy had potential, he had drive, and the right thing to do was to help him with the rest of his degree. The young man graduated, they stayed in touch. This is the type of story you don't read about in the newspaper. This is just one example of the many acts of kindness over the years, and there are many. Mr. Butler, for the first time in 24 years, I get the last word. We all know in your own words that you do not enjoy the words throwing flowers at you. You said to me in 1998 when I came to work for you, number one, if you don't think that we're not going to fight a little, then you're wrong. Because it would mean that we're always going to agree. You said disagreements are healthy, and we've had a few good ones. I call those teaching moments. Number two, you said, come hang with me, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to make a little money along the way, and you know what? You were right about both. You've taught me what the word integrity means, and really in business, at the end of the day, all you have is your word. Personally, I'd like to thank you for your mentorship, your teaching, your sharing, your advice, being there for me as another dad in my life, and most of all, your friendship. You have been great with my kids. I'd like to thank you for that too. I will be forever grateful. Words cannot express my appreciation. A great big, well-deserved congrats from your family and your team who are here tonight to celebrate this with you. I want to thank all of you for listening and putting up with me. We call him the chief, the boss, Mr. Butler, Mr. B, but he'll tell you, just call me Pat. Accompanied by his son, Patrick, please rise for the 2022 Ottawa Board of Trade Ottawa Business Journal Lifetime Achievement recipient, my friend and mentor, Pat Butler.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage for the last time this evening.
I've had the pleasure of knowing Pat Butler for over 35 years. From the moment Pat and I met, we became instant friends, and that friendship has continued through to this very day. Yet beyond that friendship, Pat has been a mentor to me for my entire career. You know, when you think about the word visionary, it is often described as one who can predict the future or the outcome before it actually happened. And that in itself totally describes Pat Butler to me. I've always admired the way that Pat thinks about business and how he thinks about his family, his friends, his employees, and his community. And Pat has often said to me, Jim, you can't get rich unless you enrich others. Few would know how kind and how thoughtful and how generous this man truly is. Yet he's always remained humble, and he never wants to draw attention to himself, and he deflects that attention to his employees and to his incredible family. And Pat, this is such a well-deserved recognition and such a great honor for you. And I know that your beautiful wife, Elaine, is in heaven looking down upon you and your family tonight, and just so proud and so filled with joy. And so once again, I would say to you, congratulations. The world needs more leaders like Pat Butler. And I just wish you good luck and God bless you going forward.